Hi, I'm Mick. Welcome back to Blue Chip Machine Shop. Going to be doing something a little bit different today. My 55 pickup is on hold for the time being, and I wanted to show you the new project, something I purchased from AIM Surplus, which I'm pretty excited about, and it's a Browning high power pistol. We're going to be doing some modifications to it, and I'd like to talk about it. For all the nervous Nancy's out there, it's empty. Let's take a close-up look at some of this. Okay, a while back I was looking online and saw an advertisement for AIM Surplus. I believe they're out of Tennessee. They're an importer of surplus guns, and they had a batch of Israeli Defense Fund 9mm pistols from, as this one happens to be 1988 vintage. I'm a big fan of John Browning's pistols, and I have another Browning high power you'll see in a few minutes, but I've always thought they'd made a tremendous carry gun if I could polish some of the warts on the gun. There's one or two things that really drive me nuts about the gun in their stock form, and I can't bring myself to cut up my gun to do, to fix these deficiencies. So the obvious solution was to pick up a surplus gun, which is what this is. Again, this gun is empty. Just a very utilitarian pistol, nice design, fits my hand like a glove. But in this particular case, the gun is butt ugly because it's been carried around in a desert climate for quite a few years by a policeman. You'll see on here the importer's mark, which is tastefully stamped someplace where you can't see it. So that should polish off pretty easily. They come with an Ambidextrous Safety and these lovely plastic grips, which are well past their prime. They come with one 13-round magazine, and all for the whopping price of $439 delivered. All in all, I think it's a pretty good deal. Okay, just to show you a little bit about the function, well, obviously it's an empty chamber, empty magazine. One of the warts on this gun is that it has a magazine disconnect. So when the magazine's out, you cannot fire the pistol. There's a part inside the magazine well that drags on the magazine, and if the mag is not in there, it just won't fire. That's a problem for me because it makes for a very heavy, gritty trigger pull, and who wants a gun that drops a magazine like that? Just to give you a quick view of how a magazine drops out of a Browning high power with the magazine disconnect disabled, there you go. That's important to me. Let's get it, get it apart. I don't think I have to go through disassembly of a Browning or the history of the Browning high power pistols. You've seen them 100 times from other guys, but just quickly disassembling the pistol. That's as easy as it gets. They're very basic pistol. This one appears to be typical of most police or law enforcement surplus pistols. They're carried a lot and shot very little. It's a tight gun, no excessive wear inside the pistol at all. I haven't test fired it yet. I'm going to make some modifications to it without getting too involved in overhauling, because it doesn't need it. I can see it's a tight enough gun that it's not going to need a whole lot of work, but it is butt ugly. It needs to be rephosphated, give it a nice low gloss finish, which will be ideal for a carry gun, but won't compare to a high polish finish of a commercial grade Browning high power. One of the reasons why I didn't want to do anything with this gun is because it's pretty, and I didn't want to ruin the finish by carrying it around in a sweaty holster. I do love that gun, but as I said, there's a couple things that it needs which I can do to this gun without ruining the quality. One of the things I'm not used to is the Ambidextrous Safety. I ordered some parts and I was going to reuse this safety, but I don't think I'll be happy with it, so I may order another safety for it, which is a little bit easier to engage and disengage. One of the problems with it is there's very little detent in the safety at all, so it doesn't feel all that positive, and some of the aftermarket safeties have a better detent system, more positive feel. But basically this gun, as it sits, is in pretty overall good condition, with the exception of the sights, which were dismal at best, but these have been dropped a few times, and this side is crushed down. The front sight is bent to some degree. It looks as though it's been dropped on the muzzle. There's a couple dents up there which have to be straightened out. But overall, it's not bad. I'm pretty happy with the purchase price on this, $439, which is well below what you'd pay for a new one. Obviously, this is not a new gun, but the new high powers are going for close to $1,000. This is an FN produced Belgian-made Browning, as all the roll marks say and all the proof marks on the pistol. The only marking I have on this is a circle and a Hebrew letter in there. I don't know what that means, but I was told it's the proof mark that IDF uses to identify their pistols. But let me talk about some of the modifications I'm going to be doing, because this drives me crazy that you have to pull the magazine out. That's really not the way I want to go. On my 1985 Browning, the magazine does drop freely because the plunger is taken out of the trigger, and it's a matter of just knocking out a roll pin at the back of the trigger and removing the safety, so it will drop free. It's a welcome addition to any Browning high power that I've ever handled. I just drop mine, but the others I've shot have had to pull them out, and it's very awkward. That's one of the maybe two deficiencies that it has, aside from the sights. One of the others is it has a very tight magazine well. Now, I purchased some parts from Cylinder and Slide. They're one of the leading producers of performance parts for the Browning high power, and one of the parts I got was a magazine well. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to cut off about 1/4 of an inch off the bottom of this magazine well, weld that on, and then it will be trimmed up considerably. You can see there's quite a bit of surplus on there, but the flared magazine well makes a much easier reload. I have something similar on my old Colt carry pistol, which works fabulously. It makes for a very easy, fast reload, and I really like it a lot. So that effectively is going to end up on the bottom of the Browning, I don't know what to call this, the Yiddish high power. They recommend silver soldering. I prefer welding. We're going to see what we decide when I start putting it together, but that will aid in the loading of the pistol. On a stock pistol, you have to get it pretty close to the right angle to get it into the pistol. It's a very tight magazine well, and I've never really felt as though if you had to reload in a hurry, it would be you could do it quickly and under stress. On this pistol, it's just a whole lot easier. You can muff the angle quite a bit, and it still goes in. So this is a bolt-on part from Smith & Alexander, but I like it, and decided this could benefit from that addition onto the pistol. That's one of the modifications I'm going to be doing. Let me show you a couple other things. Again, from Cylinder and Slide. One of the big problems with the Browning pistol is they've got a very short beaver tail up here near the safety, where you'll notice on the Colt I've put an Ed Brown beaver tail on it. Well, nobody makes them for the Browning because they're not a bolt-on situation. It would have to be welded up, and initially I thought that's what I would do, but decided against it. What it fixes, if you have a high grip like I do, you get the meaty part of the web of your hand will get nipped by the hammer on recoil. And you don't notice it so much until you shoot a couple hundred rounds, and then you realize your hand is bleeding because you've clipped the web of your hand. This hammer is what they call a commander type hammer, similar to the one on the Colt Commander, and it will clear the webbing on your hand right here. This particular package comes with a new sear to improve the trigger pull, and different springs to lighten up the hammer for just an overall better feel. Those two pieces and the elimination of the magazine safety will drastically improve the trigger pull and make it more pleasant to shoot because you're not clipping flesh off the web of your hand. The third piece I was going to put on is the wide combat trigger. These triggers, while they're very comfortable, they're very skinny, and if you have a bad trigger pull, you notice it much more because the weight of the trigger pull is concentrated in a very small area. This particular trigger is probably 50% wider, and spreads the load of the trigger pull over a wider area, and it feels better to me. It's not as rounded, it's much more flat and a wider area to spread the load. So while I haven't used one of these, I don't know, you can't really see that on camera more than likely, but it's quite a bit wider and should improve the trigger pull quite a bit. As I said, the Ambidextrous Safety, I may change that to a different type that's strictly a bolt-on situation, so very little fitting involved. I may change that, I may not. I suspect I will, but I don't have the parts on hand right now, and when I get them, I'll probably show that. The last thing that I ordered was a set of grips for it. I hate these plastic. I like the original walnut grips. They feel good. They're ergonomic. The Browning it fits my hand well, but I happen across these on eBay. They're a slimline grip. I haven't measured them, but they're visually thinner than the grips on the stock Browning grips. I tried them on the gun. actually. I had to knock out this lanyard pin. There was a lanyard hoop there from the IDF, and I wasn't going to be using it, and I had to take that out of there to put the new grips on, and they felt really good. It feels slimmer than the stock Browning stuff, but I think I'll like that. Lastly, I'm going to be putting on Novak low mount carry sights, 3-dot tritium sights. I'm going to send the slide out to Wayne Novak in West Virginia and have them put them on. They do a lot of them. They know what they're doing. I've had work done by them before, and they're excellent. It's going to be a little pricey, but I'd rather have it done right. I've never done it before, so they're going to take it out there. They'll part of the installation process is to refinish the slide in the original black phosphate finish, which I like for carry gun. I don't need a, shiny blued gun for carry gun. But while they have the slide, I'm going to be doing some odds and ends to the frame, which is going to be similar to what I did on the my Combat Commander. Years ago, I checkered the front strap and the trigger guard on that. Actually, I had a gunsmith do this, and I checkered it and really didn't do a great job, but it served me well. It gives your hands plenty of traction. If your hands are sweaty, you need to have something to hang on to, and this gives you a fabulous grip on the gun in sweaty conditions, or just allows you to grab a hold of the gun, and the gun doesn't bounce around on recoil. Real nice addition to a carry gun, which is what this is going to be. But I think I may just stipple this, which is to rough up the texture with a center punch, a stippling punch actually. Do the front section of the grip frame, the front of the trigger guard, and possibly the back of the trigger guard or receiver as well. I don't know for sure, but I think probably those three areas are going to get stippled. I don't think I've got the patience to do checkering on it, but I may stipple the top of the slide too to lessen the glare across the sight plane. We'll see how that work goes along. I'm not absolutely sure I'm going to stipple the top of the slide. May just bead blast it, but I carried this thing around for about 10 years, and it really was very comfortable to shoot, and it was a little heavy. This is a little bit lighter gun. This is in 9mm as opposed to 45. With today's ammunition, I don't see a whole lot of difference between the two ballistically, and I like the feel of this gun. I love shooting the other Browning, so we will have to see how it works out as a carry gun, but I think it's going to be positive experience. Those 2 or 3 deficiencies that the gun has, I think I can correct for my taste, and I won't have a ton of money into the gun, you know, a fair amount, but I guess the you know, the purpose of this video was to show the initial starting point, which is a $439 Browning high power, which in my estimation is a bargain. A couple of my friends saw what I got for $439 bucks and decided to buy them themselves. So I'm happy with the deal. It's not. I half expected to receive a banged up gun that looked like it had been through a cement mixer, and was pleasantly surprised. That's about all I have for right now. I haven't done anything. I just, you know, that'll be the big plus to the first change I'm going to make on that one, which will be eliminating the magazine safety, and that's what I've got now. So first and foremost, that's got to go. This pistol, which is a Ruger, I think they call it a 45 Light, which is a 22 caliber pistol with it's a identical grip frame to a Colt government model, and that had the worst case of magazine safety I ever saw in my life. The magazine wouldn't even jump out past the grip frame, and you had to yank it. When I eliminated that grip safety, or the magazine safety, you can see the result of that. It's a big plus. But anyway, that's about all I have for now. I've been resisting hanging parts on this thing because I wanted to show the $439 Yiddish high power. And thank you to the Israeli Defense Fund and AIM. I'm glad they got new pistols because I got their old one, and I love it. So go out and buy one. They're good. Thanks.